How many spiritual people have I got diving deep? If you're spiritual, put your hand up. Okay, I see a lot of hands raised. Do you know, deep divers, there is a dark side of spirituality? What they don't tell you. In fact, there's a dark side to everything. Dark doesn't always mean bad, though. Dark can actually be something quite wonderful. One love to all of you wonderful deep divers of planet Earth. How you feeling today? I woke up like this, all magical and shh. Can't say that on YouTube anymore. Let's breathe. That was beautiful. Let's go, deep divers. Woo! Breathing in that good ass prana, baby. I woke up like this, all magical and fly. Raising the frequency. You better be raising the vibration. Take that, take that, take that. Good ass energy. I'm sending you, deep divers. Peace. Infinite waters, diving deep once again. Beautiful deep divers. We are here. Much love to each and every one of you. So, the dark side of spirituality. What they don't tell you. We got a whole lot to talk about. And yes, there are dark sides to everything. There is a dark side of religion. There is a dark side of the government. There is even a dark side of the cat down the road. Yes, deep divers, and yourself. But dark doesn't mean something bad. Dark can actually be something quite wonderful. So, first and foremost, if you are watching this video, deep divers, FaceTiming you right now, this is your confirmation that the stars will align for you. All you have to do is say thank you. It's that simple. That simple, that simple. Now, the dark side of spirituality, what they don't tell you, what they do not tell you. Why didn't someone tell me this? I want everybody to hit that like button right now. If you support the real, hit that like button and share this video. This is going to be very insightful. Okay. Someone actually sent me a long message. They're like, Ralph, can you please talk about the dark side of spirituality? And I'm like, yes, because there is a massive dark side of spirituality. I meet a lot of spiritual people. In fact, everybody is spiritual. They just don't know it because we are spiritual beings having a human experience and we ain't even had breakfast yet. Can I get a hello? So wonderful deep divers of planet Earth. Let me share with you the dark side of spirituality, what they don't tell you. Now, there's a great saying. It goes like this. Religion is for people who are afraid to go to hell. Spirituality is for people who've already been there. And we've already been there. I've already been to hell and back. It was hot down there, but I'm back. There is a dark side of religion. We know that. But a lot of people in the spiritual community realize there's also a dark side of spirituality. What is that dark side, you might ask? It starts with the awakening. You see, when you are on your spiritual journey, you go through what we call awakening. The awakening. The awakening. And awakening and awakenings are not something, they're not peaches and cream, basically, deep divers. The awakening is something very destructive because it erodes everything you once knew and destroys it. An awakening is destructive. It removes, it replaces, it renews. Now that is fantastic, but you have to be ready because a lot of people who are just beginning on their spiritual journey don't realize that. They don't realize that everything you once knew is going to be thrown in the recycle bin. Just like that, just like that. And you can't get it back. There's no going back. Once you follow that white rabbit, there's no going back. And you realize that the deeper you go in spirituality, the deeper it gets. Can you handle it? Oh, you're looking a little bit shaky, baby. Feeling overwhelmed already? Don't worry, there's more for you. Keep diving deep. Here's a life jacket. Deep divers, can you swim in the deep oceans? That's what spirituality can feel like sometimes, because when you are going through your awakening, you're realizing that you don't know anything. And there's so much more to know. And this can be very concerning for you because you're like, oh my gosh. But the good news is that this only happens in the beginning of your spiritual journey. Once you remind yourself the awakening is needed to remove what was once there that no longer served you. And it replaces it with something that will serve you. Now, the dark side of spirituality, what they don't tell you. There was a poet, Thomas Gray, 1742, on a distant prospect of Eton College. He wrote, "Ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise." That's where that whole expression came from, deep divers. Ignorance is bliss. Thank Thomas for that, right? So the dark side of spirituality is that you realize if ignorance is bliss, that means knowledge is suffering. See, a lot of people who are on their spiritual journey get into some deep knowledge, some deep books. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And it can really play with your mind. You're like, oh my gosh, maybe I would have been better off not knowing that. Ignorance is bliss. Like all of this knowledge, it's painful to know about it. But you see, that's only happening at the beginning of your spiritual journey, because when you remind yourself, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is expensive pain. Slow motion this side. But if you are just starting out on your spiritual journey, yes, you might trick yourself into believing actually it's better to not know. Ignorance is bliss. No, it's not. Ignorance is expensive pain. The dark side of spirituality, what they don't tell you. A lot of people who label themselves as spiritual often practice spiritual bypassing. And that is when you use your spirituality to escape your responsibilities. Like you've got a reason for acting that way because of your spiritual beliefs, right? So you are immune from accountability, responsibility. And that's the dark side of spirituality, because a lot of people who are very spiritual, they develop a belief system where they are perfect all the time. They can do no wrong, right? So a lot of people sometimes forget about accountability in the spiritual communities. I've had to learn that. And that's why I always say, I am stardust, right? Before I'm spiritual, I'm stardust. Just like you, deep divers. Shout out to Carl Sagan. The dark side of spirituality, what they don't tell you, is that along your journey of spirituality, you're going to start to lose people. Friends, family, even best friends, people you were once close with are going to fall by the wayside. They're going to disappear because as you are evolving, you realize that you don't have time for energy which is not really helping you go to the next level. So the dark side of spirituality is that you might find yourself alone. Oh my gosh, I don't want to be alone, Ralph. Don't worry, I'll hold your hand. I'll hold your hand, deep divers, right? Well, this is a dark side because a lot of people on their spiritual journey are labeled, because they're misunderstood, right? As sometimes antisocial, they like being alone. No, it's just that they don't like being around fake people. That's all. That's all, right? And on your spiritual journey, you might find yourself alone. It's not that you don't like people. It's just that you need to heal yourself. These unresolved issues, you need to work on yourself. And it can be a dark time for people who don't really know how to be alone. But once again, that only happens in the beginning of your spiritual journey. Once you have been along the way for a long time, you enjoy being alone because you realize we are never alone unless we abandon ourselves. Slow motion this side. The dark side of spirituality, what they don't tell you. Now, I told you, dark doesn't necessarily mean something bad. Dark actually means something wonderful. However, we label it as the dark side of spirituality when you go through what we call the dark night of the soul. And the dark night of the soul is when you have the massive breakdown. It happened to me in 2006. Right. And a lot of people on their spiritual journey, they go through a massive breakdown. Right. The walls are caving in. Things are falling apart. It's looking bleak. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Dark times. And it's called the dark night of the soul. And this is the dark side of spirituality because everybody is going to have to go through a dark night of the soul when you are on your spiritual journey. But good news, deep divers, because as you are maturing on the spiritual journey, you realize if it wasn't for the darkness, you would not be able to see the stars. And in our darkest moments, we become illuminated. So the darkness is beautiful. It's just that people don't know. They don't know how to use the dark energy. This whole universe is dark matter and dark energy. Stop being afraid of the dark, deep divers. I am the darkness and I am the light. Thank you very much. Right. So the dark side of spirituality is that dark night of the soul. But once again, once you have grown along your journey, you realize that's actually when you become illuminated and you need the darkness. The dark side of spirituality, what they don't tell you, is that a lot of people who are on their spiritual journey, sometimes they're living in an echo chamber where no one understands them. They have gone so deep down the rabbit hole and they're living in their whole universe. And sometimes this actually means that people close to you don't get you. The good news is that you can find your soul tribe, your community. Many people on their spiritual journey take psychedelics, sometimes ayahuasca, sometimes iboga, sometimes psilocybin, magic mushrooms, and they have these amazing trips. Some people might say frightening trips, right? A lot of people who take ayahuasca, for example, they often talk of seeing entities, right? And this is really their shadow side coming out. And this is a dark side. If you're not used to doing shadow work, you're going to see your gremlins, your monsters, what's actually inside of you. And this can be, oh my gosh, I'm so scared right now, right? It can be frightening for a lot of people. That's what happens on your spiritual journey. You're going to have trips. Some are going to be great. Some are going to be okay. And some are going to be quite frightening, to be quite honest. The dark side of spirituality, what they don't tell you, a lot of people on their spiritual journey often feel they always have to be goody two-shoes, right? You can actually put yourself in a box saying, I'm so spiritual. That means you can't have fun. Like, just be human. It's okay to be human. The dark side is that a lot of people in the spiritual community often feel that other people are less than them. They actually dehumanize people. Sometimes they call people sheep. So you actually create a hierarchy in the spiritual community saying, actually, those other people are mindless eaters, sheep, useless eaters. And this actually, now you become a big judge on other people. And it's a dark side because you can now actually have spiritual egos, all right? There are a lot of spiritual egos out there. I know everything. My way is the best. And you actually fall into the trap. Also, the dark side of spirituality, what they don't tell you is that a lot of people can develop a messiah complex. You might think, actually, you are Jesus Christ, right? You might think you're Jesus Christ. You might think that you are the way, the truth, and the light, and everyone else doesn't know what they're chatting about, right? That's the dark side of spirituality. Truth is, we are all stardust, gods and goddesses of the Most High, and everyone is the same. Everyone is equal because we all bleed red. Yes, there are levels to this shit, but we got to remind ourselves that you don't want to fall into the Messiah complex. You don't want to think that you are someone which is above everybody else. Yes, you might be at a higher level, but everybody is important. We are all energy, right? So, want to remind you, once again, the dark side doesn't necessarily mean the bad side. In fact, the dark side can be quite wonderful. It's just that when we talk of the spiritual journey, a lot of people who are just starting out are going to see some things that they're going to see some things that are going to make it hard for them to smile. You're going to know about the history of the world, where we came from, the lies you've been told in the Matrix, all of this stuff. Oh my gosh, you're going to be overwhelmed. Don't worry about it, because it's going to get better for you. The truth shall set you free, but it will piss you off first. I'm so happy I'm on my spiritual journey, and I'm evolving every single day. And I'm not afraid of the dark side, because I am the dark side and I am the light side. And that's why I'm just saying, feels so good to be alive, baby. Can I get a hello? Beautiful deep divers. Can we breathe? Let's go. Woo! Breathing in that good ass prana, baby. Also, a lot of people on their spiritual journey, once you have this awakening, it might affect what you're doing for work. You might quit that job because you're like, actually, it doesn't align with my values. So spirituality is going to sometimes destroy your marriage, destroy your job, and get you a better job, a better marriage. Thank goodness. Now, hit that like button, deep divers, share this video. Hit that like button, deep divers, share this video. And let me say a shout out to everyone who's been getting the wonderful new book, Feel Alive by Ralph Smart on Amazon, and at ralphsmart.com/the book, The Bible of Becoming Your Greatest Version. Also, go and get the Good Ass Prana shirts at ralphsmart.com/clothes and spreadshirt.com if you're in America. And if you're a sexy ass model, woo, with a whole lot of heart, you want to model the clothing, well, go and buy some. Deep divers, we are all spiritual. Being a human means to be spiritual. We are spiritual beings in human flesh, having a human experience for a brief moment in time. There is a beautiful side of spirituality. There's also a dark side of spirituality. Both are needed for our evolution. I want to know what the dark side of spirituality has been for you. Put it in the comment section, and also make sure you share this video. Hit that like button, share this video with a friend. I know the comments are going to be lit because I know a lot of people have been having some trips. I know a lot of you got a lot to tell me. I love all of you deep divers. Peace. Infinite waters, diving deep once again. Stay well, stay healthy. Peace. There's no turning back. Once you go on that spiritual journey, that's it. That's it, deep divers. You're a whole new you. Look at you go. Look at you go, deep divers. I love all of you deep divers. One love. Peace.